If you've ever been inside a large building late at night, you know the feeling. The same place that feels completely normal during the day suddenly feels different after midnight. Hallways sound longer. Rooms feel occupied when they shouldn't be. And every small noise seems intentional. Night janitors notice these things more than anyone, because they're the last people left inside. Tonight, I collected several real-style accounts from cleaners and maintenance workers who worked overnight shifts completely alone, and slowly realized they might not have been alone at all. No urban legends. No dramatic ghost stories. Just quiet, believable encounters that never made sense. Let's start. Story 1, the elevator that never opened. I worked night shifts cleaning a 6th-floor office building for almost a year. Nothing glamorous, empty trash cans, vacuum carpets, white glass, repeat. The place was dead after 8:30 p.m. No security guard inside, only cameras and badge access at the front doors. My boss liked it that way, cheaper. My shift was always 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. And at first, I loved it. No coworkers. No noise. Podcasts in one ear. Easy money. Until the elevators started calling themselves. The routine. Part of my routine was simple. Start on floor 6. Work downward. Finish in the lobby around 4:40 a.m. The building had 2 elevators side by side. Old ones. The kind that hum constantly and shake a little before stopping. At night they never moved. Nobody inside. No overnight employees. Even the servers were off-site. So when I heard the ding around my 3rd week there, I assumed a cleaning supervisor came in late. But when I reached the lobby, both elevator doors were closed. Indicator lights off. No movement. I shrugged it off. Old building. It happened again. A few nights later I was vacuuming floor 5. Ding. Clear as day. The sound traveled through the stairwell, meaning the elevator had arrived on another floor. I stepped into the hallway and looked at the panel. The arrow light was pointing up. From below. Which made no sense, I was already near the top. I waited. Nothing came. No doors opened. No footsteps. No voices. Eventually I went back to work. I remember telling myself, probably a reset cycle. The camera monitor. About a month later my boss gave me access to a small maintenance room on floor 2. Inside was a monitor showing all lobby cameras. Mostly useless, but good to check if a delivery showed up. That's when things stopped being explainable. Around 1:12 a.m., while eating a sandwich, I heard the elevator ding again. I looked up automatically. The camera showed the lobby clearly. The elevator doors opened. And nobody walked out. Not unusual, right? Except, the door stayed open. 30 seconds. 1 minute. Then slowly closed. 5 seconds later. It opened again. The call button. I thought maybe a sensor was dirty, so I went downstairs. Lobby empty. Street empty. I pressed the call button myself. Nothing wrong. Worked fine. As I turned to leave, the other elevator opened behind me. I didn't press it. No lights were on above the door. And inside the elevator, the floor buttons were already lit. 4, 5, 6. One after another. Like someone had just selected them. I stood there longer than I want to admit. Then I hit lobby and forced the door shut. I remember my hands shaking while the elevator went up empty. The part that made me quit. A week later I was finishing floor 6, my starting floor. Around 3:40 a.m. The worst time of night. Dead quiet. Brain fog. Your thoughts get loud. I heard the elevator arrive behind me in the hallway. Ding. I assumed it was doing the same glitch again. But this time, I heard footsteps. Soft. Slow. Walking across carpet. I froze. The entire floor was locked offices. Nobody could be there without a badge, and the badge reader logs entries. The steps stopped right outside the janitor closet door. I waited for a knock. Instead, I heard breathing. Right on the other side. Not moving. Just standing there. After maybe 10 seconds, the elevator dinged again, and the footsteps walked away. I stayed inside that closet for 15 minutes. When I finally came out, the elevator was gone. The next morning, I told my boss. He checked access logs. No entries after 9:02 p.m. Then he checked the camera from the lobby. 1:12 a.m., elevator opens and closes repeatedly. Empty. 3:39 a.m., elevator arrives at floor 6. 3:40 a.m., doors open. They remain open for 14 seconds. Then close. No one visible entering or leaving. I quit that week. But the last thing the boss told me stuck with me. You're the third night cleaner who complained about someone waiting outside the closet. Story 2, the restroom that stayed occupied. I worked as a night janitor at a private school campus. Not a college, a K-12 place. Rich families. Big property. For separate buildings connected by covered walkways. During the day it felt normal. At night it felt like a hospital that had been evacuated. My shift ran from 9:30 p.m. to 5:30 a.m. Security locked the gates at 10. After that, the only people on campus were me and one patrol guard who drove around outside every hour. Inside the buildings, I was alone. At least I thought I was. The rule about Building C. The maintenance supervisor told me on day 1. Clean Building C last. I asked why. He just said teachers sometimes worked late there and didn't want vacuum noise early in the shift. Fair enough. So my routine became gym cafeteria building A, building B, building C at the end. Around 3 a.m. every night. The first time. Building C was the oldest structure. Carpeted hallways. Bulletin boards. Old fluorescent lights that hummed louder than they shined. Part of my job was cleaning the student restrooms on each floor. 3 floors. Boys' restroom always first. Second floor, empty. Third floor, empty. First floor. The door was closed, and the occupancy latch showed red. I knocked. No answer. I waited maybe a minute before unlocking it with my master key. Sometimes kids forgot to unlock it earlier in the day. The door opened. No one inside. All stalls open. No feet. No sounds. I assumed the latch was broken and cleaned the restroom. Until I left. As the door swung shut behind me, the latch flipped back to red by itself. Every night after that, it kept happening. Always the same restroom. Always 3-something a.m. Always occupied before I entered. Empty inside. Latch turning after I left. At first I ignored it. Old hardware. But then I started noticing something else. The sinks. One of them would be wet every night. Not dripping. Not leaking. Freshly used. Water beads still sliding toward the drain. The paper towels. One morning around 4:10 a.m. I came back because I forgot to refill the paper towels. The hallway lights were on motion sensors. They turned on as I approached. And I heard it. Rustle. Like paper being pulled quickly. I stopped walking. Silence. I opened the door slowly. The trash can was full of crumpled paper towels. I had emptied it less than 20 minutes earlier. And one towel was still slowly unfolding on the floor. Like it had just been dropped. I said hello, without thinking. A stall door slammed shut. Hard. I ran out and didn't go back in for half an hour. The security guard. The next night I asked the patrol guard, Marco, to walk inside with me. We entered together around 3:20 a.m. The restroom latch was red again. He joked about kids sneaking in. We opened it. Empty. He laughed. Then we both heard a sink turn on behind us. Not a drip. Full pressure water. We both saw it, the handle turning down. He turned it off immediately. We left without saying much. After that he stopped doing indoor rounds completely. The last night. My final week there. I saved Building C for last as usual. But that night the restroom door was already open. Lights on inside. All stalls closed. Every single one. I didn't touch the door. I just stood in the hallway. Then, one by one, each stall door opened. Slowly. From the inside. No footsteps. No shadows under the doors. The last stall stayed closed. I waited. It slammed once. Then unlocked. I quit 2 days later. 3 months after I left, the school remodeled Building C. They removed that restroom entirely. Converted it into storage. According to Marco, the guard, the motion alarm inside that room still triggers some nights, even though there's no plumbing anymore. Story 3, the apartment that was already clean. For about 8 months I worked night maintenance at a mid-size apartment complex. Not luxury, but not cheap either. The kind where tenants complain about fingerprints on stainless steel but leave trash bags outside their doors. My job started at 11 p.m. after the office closed. Hallways, laundry rooms, elevators, trash rooms, and sometimes vacant units before new tenants moved in. Those were the easiest assignments. Or at least they were supposed to be. Unit 214. One Thursday my supervisor left a note. Deep clean 214, new tenant arriving Monday. Vacant for 2 months. Top floor corner unit. Perfect. Quiet. Quick work. I unlocked it around 12:40 a.m. The moment I opened the door, I smelled cleaning chemicals. Strong ones. Like someone had just mopped. That was weird because empty apartments smell stale, dusty, trapped air. Not fresh. I assumed maybe the day crew prepped it earlier. Already done. Kitchen counters, spotless. Stove, polished. Bathroom mirror, streak-free. Carpet, vacuum lines visible. I checked my paper again. It definitely hadn't been signed off yet. To be safe, I still cleaned everything. Took about 45 minutes. Before leaving I turned off all lights and locked the door. Normal night. The next night. Second shift. I passed 214 and noticed the door slightly open. Just a few inches. I was sure I locked it. Inside, the kitchen light was on. And the trash bag I left by the entrance, gone. I checked the work order log. No one had been assigned. Leasing office closed. No showing scheduled. I did a quick walkthrough. Nothing missing. Actually, it looked cleaner than when I left it. Again. It becomes routine. For the next 4 nights. I cleaned next shift, it looked re-cleaned. Every time. Bathroom sink always dry though. Not a single water spot. Like someone cleaned without using water. I stopped mentioning it because maintenance guys hate sounding crazy. Then Friday happened. The balcony door. Around 2:10 a.m. I was vacuuming the bedroom. I distinctly heard the sliding balcony door open behind me. Not a creak. That hollow aluminum track sound. I turned around immediately. Closed. Locked. Curtains still. But the room felt colder. The kind of cold where your ears notice first. I packed up early that night. The security camera. The complex had hallway cameras but none inside apartments. However, Unit 214's door faced directly toward one. Saturday morning my supervisor called me. He asked, "Did you go back into 214 at 3:26 a.m.? I told him no, I left at 2:40. He sent me a still frame. The apartment door was open, and someone stood in the doorway. Not exiting, not entering, just standing inside the dark apartment. You couldn't see a face, the hallway light behind the camera didn't reach far enough. But the figure was shaped wrong. Too tall for the frame. Head almost touching the top. My last shift. I still had to finish the week. I avoided the unit until the end. 3:50 a.m., last task. I opened 214 one final time. Lights were already on. No switch had been touched. In the bedroom, the vacuum lines I made earlier were gone. Carpet smooth. In the bathroom, the mirror had writing on it. Not words, just a single clean rectangle in the fog dust. Like something had been hanging there for years and removed. But the apartment had been empty only 2 months. Then I heard movement behind me in the living room. Not footsteps. More like clothing brushing walls. I walked out. Left the cart. Left the keys on the counter. I never went back. 2 weeks later, a tenant moved in. Stayed exactly 1 night. Lease terminated immediately. Management never said why. But they removed Unit 214 from rental listings for almost a year after that. Story 4, the floor that didn't exist. My longest night shift job was at a hospital administrative building. Important detail. Not a hospital with patients. It was offices, billing departments, records, HR, storage archives. Connected to the main hospital by an enclosed bridge, but after midnight the bridge doors locked automatically. So from 12 a.m. to 6 a.m. I was alone in a 6-story building full of paperwork and empty cubicles. At least that's what the floor plan said. 6 floors. I learned later that wasn't exactly true. The elevator rule. Every janitor had a small list of rules written in the supply closet. Most were normal. Don't mix chemicals. Badge doors after 1 a.m. Never prop stairwell exits. And one strange one. If the elevator opens to an unlit floor, do not exit. I asked a day supervisor about it. He laughed and said it was an old joke from previous staff. I believed him. For about 3 weeks. The first time. Around 2:30 a.m. I was going from floor 5 down to the lobby. I pressed L. The elevator moved, then stopped halfway. No floor chime. The doors open anyway. Pitch black hallway. Not dim, completely black. No exit sign glow. No emergency lighting. Nothing. The panel still displayed a floor number. 7. There was no 7th floor. I immediately hit lobby and the doors closed. I told myself it misleveled between floors. It starts repeating. 3 nights later it happened again. This time going up to floor 4. Stopped. Opened. Darkness. Floor indicator, 7. But now I noticed something else. I could hear distant movement. Office chair wheels. Slow rolling across tile. I didn't get out. I held the close button until the door shut. After that I started using stairs more often. The smell. The third occurrence was different. I was carrying trash bags at 4:05 a.m., too tired to take stairs. Elevator ride normal, until it slowed early. Stopped. Opened. Floor 7. And this time air came in. Warm. And smelled like a room full of people. Not body odor, just occupied air. The kind of conference room as after hours of meetings. But the building was empty. Then I heard quiet talking. Multiple voices. No words I could understand. Like a meeting heard through a wall. I pressed lobby repeatedly. The doors hesitated before closing. Security didn't laugh. The next morning I mentioned it to the overnight security dispatcher on the main hospital side. He didn't joke. He asked which elevator car number. I showed him. He sighed and said, "Try not to use that one after 2. That was it. The last night. I avoided it for a week. Then one shift I had to bring a floor machine down, impossible in stairs. 2:18 a.m. I took the other elevator. Halfway down. It stopped. Doors opened. Darkness again. But this time the display showed 6. A real floor. Relieved, I pushed the machine out. The moment the wheels crossed the doorway, the lights behind me shut off inside the elevator. And ahead of me, lights slowly turned on down the hallway. One by one. Revealing cubicles that didn't match the building layout. Older desks. Paper files stacked everywhere. Phones. All ringing softly at different times. And people talking somewhere deeper inside. I looked back. The elevator panel now read 7. Doors still open. Waiting. I pulled the machine back in and hit lobby. The doors closed immediately, faster than normal. Aftermath. Next day I checked the evacuation maps on every floor. MILF floor 7. Never existed in blueprints either, maintenance confirmed. But one retired worker later told me the building originally had a records floor removed during renovation decades ago. Numbered 7. Before they changed the numbering system. I transferred buildings the same week. Because once, right before my last shift ended, the elevator arrived at the lobby by itself. Opened. No one inside. Display reading 7. People imagine night cleaning jobs are peaceful, headphones in, simple work, empty buildings. But when you're the only person inside for hours, you start learning how buildings really sound when no one is supposed to be there. Elevators that move without calls. Rooms that don't stay empty. Floors that shouldn't exist. And the unsettling part isn't always seeing something. Sometimes it's realizing the place already knows you're there. If you enjoyed these stories, there are more coming, and next time we'll go even deeper into overnight jobs where workers experience things they still can't explain. Good night, and try not to think about what your building sounds like after everyone leaves.